The group had wasted no time in gearing up and letting the others know they were heading out. Though the timing and location had them all on edge, some further research revealed that the area they were to head to was an open-area restaurant reportedly considered safe by visitors, and on the outskirts of Corvin Enterprises' undisputed territory. They were all dressed respectfully, with a grumbling Jack wearing a white shirt, black trousers and shoes, and his grey greatcoat. Though the paranoid human wanted to go in armed and armoured to the teeth, Allura had been insistent that they dress appropriately, rather than in anything that would get them shot, but Jack was too insistent on having his fancy tie loose in an act of petty disagreement, and with his sunglasses he had a proper crypto bro look, with all the weapons the others had allowed him to take. At least if he was going to get shot at again, he looked good in the process.
"Calm yourself, Jack," Chio tried to assure him. "We're not there yet. Conserve yourself."
"Yeah, because the last time we met a client for a job it went so well for us," the grumpy human huffed back, not calming down in the slightest, as he anticipated a fight.
"You're not wrong to be paranoid, considering what happened last time," Nico acknowledged. "But we'll be much more careful this time. We have a plan. I'm not saying don't be cautious of a fight, but try not to let the anticipation overwhelm you right now. When we're meeting a client, we've got to keep our heads in the game, especially when we'll be meeting in Corvin territory." "Basically save that brooding expression of yours for when we get there," Allura chuckled. "And you keep cool too, Dante."
"Woof!" The dog barked determinedly from where he padded alongside them. "Alright, I'll try," Jack sighed. "I'm still inexperienced with climb meets after all, but we all agree that the quick reply we got wasn't a good sign, right?"
"Right," Scifi nodded. "It's sus as hell. Honestly, what we really need is to find ourselves a good fixer to find jobs for us." "Agreed, but we have nobody yet," Chio pointed out. "Repeat clients, however."
"Yeah, we do have a few of those," Nico acknowledged, "but we haven't had any hits from them for a while, and most of the jobs are small time. A fixer would be good, but they take a commission, and there are stories about betrayals out there." The narrow alley the group were travelling down echoed with the distant hum of neon lights above them, which cast a flickering glow on the rain-soaked pavement beneath their feet. Though there were citizens still walking around conducting business, many of them were understandably cautious about the ongoing city conflicts, and though those had quietened down in recent days, the caution was still there. Though there were homes about, the district they were in was mostly a transitional one, with a few convenience stores and open parks scattered about the otherwise bare district. Still, each puddle reflected the towering corporate skyscrapers of their destination ahead, looking over them.
"There's Corvin Enterprises up ahead,"
Chio indicated with a nod of her head. Up at the wall in front of them were several flags of neon green geometric patterns, with purple and black backgrounds and accents. Directly in front of them at the gate was a neon green triangular logo raised high in a place of prominence that showed several triangles within each other on a black background, with a fierce-looking bird with purple eyes in the middle, and the words Corvin Enterprises bright and clear underneath.
"Well, this is it," Scifi sighed. "Local datanet says things are normal, so we should be alright."
"Good," Allura nodded. "Now remember, if anything bad happens, we stick together no matter what, and make a line towards the nearest border district. We all should have something we can use to jump off the wall into neutral territory and survive."
"Don't be paranoid," she says,
Jack grumbled under his breath.
"Oh, shush. We will be fine,"
Chio reassured him, rolling her eyes.
"Corporate districts are like many of the neutrals we've been through, just with more security. If we don't get caught acting against the interests of Corvin Enterprises, we will be perfectly fine."
"Indeed, corporate districts are often some of the safest," Allura added, "though perhaps less so with the current conflicts. Where we are heading isn't of much strategic value to the other corps." "I guess I'll just have to see for myself," Jack sighed, giving a nervous smile and a nod. "I'll be fine. Let's just go."
"All right," Allura nodded. "Shall we?"
As the group approached the checkpoint for Corvin Enterprises, they could see a group of 5 guards ahead. Unlike the mirrored-in corporate troops the group had encountered previously, these troops were disciplined, and were clad in sleek black and purple uniforms with rich green stripes running down the seams, emitting a soft glow. The leader also possessed a sleek, glossy-looking black exoskeleton, and a cloak that shimmered with the now ever-familiar neon green. All 5 of them stared the group down with the purple-tinted visors of their helmets, and readied their guns. "Halt! State your business," the leader ordered, and the group dutifully stopped, with Jack once again wishing he could have taken his new plasma rifle with him. He really wanted to try out the grenade launcher. "Good evening, Sergeant." Alora indicated her head respectfully. "We are merely passing through and are expected to the Verbant restaurant. Once our business is concluded, we shall return from whence we came." "I see. Hold a moment," the sergeant ordered, as Jack noticed a set of static turrets behind the guards, though they didn't do anything. "They're using the CCTV cameras to run a search on us," Scifi warned over subvocal comms. "I'll let the records to self-wipe 20 minutes after we leave." "Good call," Chio agreed subtly. "There is no need for Corvin to have information on us." Several seconds later, the sergeant clearly got the all-clear on his visor. "Very well," the man nodded. "You may enter, but if you give us trouble, we'll give you something worse." "Understood," Alora quickly replied before anyone else got any ideas. "We should be sure to behave ourselves while we're here." "Ensure you do," the sergeant told them, as the guards moved out of their way, allowing the group to pass them by. As they stepped into the corporate district, Jack let out an involuntary gasp as he took in the sights around him. The streets were immaculately paved, completely devoid of all the potholes and cracks that constantly marred the well-worn roads and paths that dominated most of the city. Looking around, he could see meticulously manicured gardens melded perfectly with the clean stone, metal and glass of the sleek modern buildings all around them, each displaying the logo of Corvin Enterprises. Even the air seemed cleaner, completely devoid of the acrid scent of pollution that he had been used to since his arrival. "Whoa," Jack finally mumbled. "It looks nice," Alora began, gently pulling at his arm to get him to keep moving. "But make no mistake, this is nothing but a mask." "Yeah, I guess," Jack sighed with a nod as they kept moving. "Those guards look more competent than the Mirrodin lot we fought a few weeks ago." "That's because the Mirrodin lot we faced were the scrubs at the bottom," Nika told him. "They can feel better, but a recon team being sent into the unknown usually involves disposable troops." "Alright then, that makes sense," Jack shrugged. "I'm pretty sure Mixzilla mentioned that Mirrodin has worse than what we faced." "Magical constructs and creatures," Chio confirmed. "Be thankful we've never encountered them." "No complaints here," Jack grinned, before a chime pinged from a nearby streetlight, a sound that was echoed from all around them. "What was that for?" Scifi asked, before they were abruptly answered when a light flashed on one of the buildings, causing several of the few citizens they could see to stop and look at the projection of the company logo, before it quickly began to chime a quick jingle, as the projection simply stated, "Announcement incoming." As the jingle ended, the projection changed to a sight that completely baffled the human. Wearing a tiara and pink ballroom dress, the fair-haired Alagi-looking girl gave the camera a wide, almost creepy smile as she leaned on her magical staff, a fancy-looking gold and silver one with a glowing pink heart at the top that pulsed with arcane power.
"Good evening, citizens of Corvin Enterprises,"
the girl greeted, in a voice that sounded far too sickly cutesy for Jack's liking.
"My daddy and I hope you've all had a wonderful productive day today. Choo! We also have a few announcements to make today. Isn't that exciting?"
the girl asked with a manic grin.
"First of all, we wish to announce that the first screenings of Cyberbeam will be broadcast this weekend, and tickets are still available for those who wish to see the latest exciting installment in the Corvin cinematic universe."
The girl clapped her hands in excitement.
"Secondly, I have some unfortunate news. Phoo!"
the girl continued, mimicking a crying face.
"I know we're all super excited to see the next Hellring, but unfortunately due to the ongoing conflicts, this shall be postponed for a later date. But don't worry, it's sure to be an exciting event, and just like you, I can't wait to see the chaos and mayhem that is to come. Maybe I'll even join in and get me some kills."
She stopped, looking very excited at the prospect, before she finally closed off.
And our final announcement for today is that Corvin Enterprises continues to be in active conflict against our enemies, especially Mirrodin Magic Technology and Shaskasaki Cybertronics.
The girl nodded solemnly, but to Jack it was clearly an act as she grinned wickedly.
But don't worry, citizens of Corvin Enterprises. Everybody's favourite slaughtergal is hot on the case, because with the almighty power of friendship and a sparkle of sunshine, I'm going to obliterate every single last one of them. You will?
The projection ended. Nobody said anything for several moments. What the fuck? Jack finally deadpanned. Yeah, Nika sighed. That crazy bitch is someone to be avoided at all costs.
Jack, that was who we almost encountered during our heist against Shaskasaki, Chio warned him, and why we escaped as quickly as we did.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, but we were floating in the air trying not to throw up, so it must have slipped my mind, Jack sighed, shaking the bizarre image of the magical girl out of his head. So who the hell is she?
Cecily Corvin,
Allura answered him, while Scifi checked to make sure the coast was clear as they kept moving, trying to look casual as they did.
Apparent daughter of Atticus Corvin, and the slaughtergal of Corvin Enterprises. She's an idol, pop star, actress, and a very powerful witch who debuted almost 4 years ago as Corvin Enterprises' resident superhero. Though what that usually means is that if Corvin Enterprises wants a public execution or massacre outside their territory, they send her.
Fuck. I'll still take her over Captain Marvel, Jack quipped with a bemused grin.
Yeah, holy shit, Scifi added. There was no way we could have known she'd show up at the Shaskasaki warehouse. Fucking hell. It wasn't even anything important.
She was probably just sent to make an example of Shaskasaki, Nika shrugged.
It's not exactly a rare circumstance. You sure she's not one of your people, Allura? Scifi asked. Everyone seems to think so.
I'm very sure, Allura firmly stated. Not a larger either, though I'll be honest, I'd say there's far more similarities with Jack.
What? Jack snorted in astonishment. Not a chance.
Everyone, we need to stay on task, Chio reminded them firmly.
You're right, Chio, Allura nodded. Let's go.
Undeterred, the group carried on, and Jack realised that the modern-looking buildings tended to be very samey to him, almost like everything was moulded to a very specific template. No matter what he thought when he first arrived, the place now felt almost soulless to him, as he spotted various commuters in fancy uniforms chatting on their comms. None of them looked particularly happy or energised, just simply going through the motions of yet another workday, and ready to work the next one in an endless loop. Jack shook his head. Would this kind of future have been his, if he lived a normal life on Earth? He shuddered at the thought. He was thankful when there was a change in their surroundings, as they approached a glass and concrete structure that had several escalators leading up to multiple floors, and he quickly realised that this place was some kind of shopping centre.
We're here, Scifi confirmed. Looks quiet.
We have time, Chio reassured them. Let's find somewhere hidden nearby and you and I can check the local matrix and astral.
What are the work times around here? Jack asked. Surely there'd be people around after work.
There are probably some, Nika agreed, but this is a weekday and out of the way of any landmarks of note. Probably why the client picked this spot, unless this is another ambush.
Don't jinx it, Jack mumbled under his breath. Where do you want to sit?
Some public benches in a remote corner should do it. The balcony over there will do, Allura decided, leading the way. That way we can play it off if a patrol finds us.
Sounds good, Nika nodded. We take a break and work out our approach.
Woof! Dante barked softly in agreement. 2 minutes later, Jack was awkwardly sat on the bench with both Chio and Scifi leaning against him on either side, doing their thing in the local matrix and astral.
So, Jack, I think you and Dante should be visible with Allura when she talks to the client, Nika proposed, as she pulled out seemingly random bits of metal from her pockets and satchel, which she began assembling into a sniper rifle.
I'll maintain overwatch from one of the balconies with Chio's physical body. She'll be keeping an eye on things from the astral, while Scifi's going to use the trickster's cloak to hide nearby.
I know you've not done these kinds of meets before, but if things go to shit, you and Dante are the best choice for getting Allura out of there alive.
And if things go bad, that's the wall we make our way to,
Allura added, pointing at the long district wall to the left of their position. They had discussed this in detail before heading out, but pointing at a place on a map and actually being aware of it in the field were two very different things. No conventional entryway, but on the other side is neutral territory, so unconventional is always an option if we need it. Trust the others, they'll keep us informed if there's anything suspicious, and make the call to go loud and bail if we need to.
Of course I trust the others, Jack nodded, sighing as he tried to calm down his nerves. So, what do you want me to do? Just look scary and be ready to go apeshit?
Not scary, just look professional, Allura giggled. I'll lead and do most of the talking, and others can talk to us over subvocal comms, but feel free to speak up yourself if you feel the need to.
Sure, Jack nodded. I'll try my best and follow your lead. I'm sure the others can tell me if they think I need to shut up.
Don't worry, we will, Nika grinned, as Scifi began to stir. But definitely let Allura do the price negotiation on her own.
Got it, Jack nodded, as Chio also began to shift. He checked his comlink and saw that they had several minutes to go. Plenty of time to set up, he reasoned, as he put his shades on and cycled through several of the settings.
Everything looks fine on my end, Chio confirmed. Once Laura is in proximity, I can check to see if the grey stuff we got from the Cult of the Destroyer ambush is a match.
Good on my end too, at least in theory, Scifi confirmed, a little unsurely. No active surveillance on this location, but it looks like there's been a recent shift arrangement to move ground and aerial patrols away from this location for 2 hours, with only a VI overseer. I can delete camera footage of us when we leave, no problem.
I guess the client doesn't want to be disturbed, Nika nodded. But if there was any doubt before that they're with Corvin Enterprises, this crushes it.
We'll be appropriately cautious, Allura nodded. All right. Those of you with brooches of disguise, I know we use them on our way in, but change your look again to something similar enough to what you actually look like, so we don't spook the client. Chances are they've done research on us anyway, but we don't want to make it easy for them to try and dox us.
Got it, Jack confirmed with the others, as he touched the brooch he had pinned to his coat. His disguise shifted and morphed to look like an Eladri, one that looked suspiciously like Nicolas Cage.
Good, Allura smiled. Everyone ready? Let's move out.
I'm in position with Chio. Got eyes on the client. Nika called out over subvocal comms. Guy in green robe sitting down, 2 bodyguards.
Sector Vsin?
Scifi asked. No, definitely Corvin colours, the Kism replied, which makes me wonder why he needs us when he's connected to company resources. Don't be afraid to walk away from this one, Allura. Also, he sat at a table with 4 seats. Maybe he doesn't know about Jack and Dante. Otherwise, the place is clear.
Understood. Thanks, Nika,
Allura replied, as she, Jack and Dante made their way out into the open dining area. Allura was calm and confident, and Jack tried his best to present himself as professionally as he could. Dante was happily padding alongside them, keeping pace, though the dog was more subdued than usual, knowing that this wasn't a time for playing around.
Ah, excellent.
The figure in green robes called over to them, being the first to notice them arrive, and as they lazily spun around to look at them, Jack noticed that they had a fancy-looking staff at their side.
And precisely on time too, assuming you are my expected appointment?
The first thing Jack noted about the voice was that it sounded almost melodic, a tenor pitch that was punctuated by a subtle rhythm. As they walked closer, Jack saw under their hood an avian being with mostly grey feathers on their face and blue on top, with 4 luminous eyes that gleamed with intelligence, changing from light yellow to light blue the closer they got. However, the most prominent feature was the thick, powerful-looking beak, which bore sharp fangs. Allura halted near the table, followed by Jack, who was looking at the bodyguards. Lightly armed, but they looked professional. A display of confidence by the client.
I stand by for verification, Allura told the man. Valtorian?
Praegar,
the figure responded easily.
Zalt.
Allura finished the passphrase as the figure nodded.
Everything is in order, though I was expecting 3 others, rather than your 2 companions.
He cocked his head, looking between Jack and Dante.
Will that be a problem?
Allura asked coolly.
No, of course it won't. Please, won't you join me?
The green-robed figure extended his hands, revealing sharp talons as he encouraged them to sit down. Allura slowly walked forward and sat at the indicated seat, and pulled out the other one for Jack, subtly indicating to him that it was okay to join her. Dante sat on the other side of the Eladri, but kept alert for threats.
Now, perhaps introductions are in order?
The client proposed. You first, Jack retorted, the words coming out of his mouth before he could even think.
The client paused. Or perhaps they are not, the client proposed.
I like that idea, Jack continued, fighting the urge to look to Allura for any kind of clarification or permission. It is a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Johnson.
Likewise,
Mr. Johnson professionally replied, tipping his head briefly.
You may call me Vela,
Allura told Johnson. Bomberclot, Jack nodded his head, before pointing to Dante. And this is Pikachu. You had better not be referencing human pop culture during the damn meet, Jack, Nika whispered over subvocal comms.
A pleasure.
Mr. Johnson gave a polite smile.
Now, I hope you don't mind. I have already ordered and paid for food and drink for everybody I was expecting. It should be arriving soon, and then we can discuss business. It is a delicate situation, and I believe your group can proceed with discretion. Nobody eats any of the food until Scifi and I have checked it.
Chio spoke up in their minds, which came to Jack a little fainter than he was used to, likely as a result of Chio actually projecting.
Jack, Allura has an ability to detect poison, so only eat if you see her do so.
Soon, Jack heard the whining of gears behind him, and he resisted the urge to turn around as several droids carrying trays quickly filled up the table with platters of fruit and several bottles of wine, followed by yet more as they pulled the nearby tables closer to them to accommodate the sheer mass of food and drink Mr. Johnson had ordered. They'd better have go bags for all that, Scifi complained over comms. It's all clear on my end, no micro-tags of any kind. Also, Johnson's got a white noise generator going under the table. Nothing bad. I'm cloning his comlink right now. Once Chio gave the confirmation, and Allura took the first sip, Jack tried some of the wine. It was very sweet, more of a spritzer than a wine, tasting of tropical punch.
Why are we here, Mr. Johnson?
Allura finally asked.
Surely a simple recon mission is well within the scope of what Corvin Enterprises is capable of.
Johnson gave a dry chuckle.
While such a statement is true, I am not contacting you on behalf of Corvin Enterprises. This is a personal matter, so even if I could utilize company resources for such an expedition, I can't trust them to handle the matter without scrutiny from my colleagues.
For a recon mission? Jack asked, with eyebrows raised.
This goes far beyond a simple recon.
Johnson shook his head.
I'll give you the background. My mother was a Green Warden, and we had been mostly estranged for several decades, though for the most part I still maintained some kind of contact with her. She lived remotely with members of her circle, but they had the means to contact the outside world, mostly because I sent some of our outdated tech their way out of a sense of loyalty. However, when I last attempted to contact her almost 3 weeks ago to warn her of the killer clown being recently active, I was unable to do so. And that's unusual? Allura asked uncertainly. The lack of dialogue was very usual.
Mr. Johnson nodded with a thin smile.
However, the communication suite she had was down. I had spoken to her about a month prior to this and sensed no issues at the time. While technical issues are often an issue, she had other ways of contacting the outside if she needed help, and there are other members of her circle I know. I suspect the worst has happened, but I am unable to go myself to confirm her death.
So that's where we come in, Jack confirmed, receiving a nod.
Yes. I want you to investigate and find out what happened at the Shrine of Eiffel her and her circle protected, and provide sufficient evidence to give me closure.
The Johnson gave a tired sigh.
That is your main objective. Secondary to that, Corvin Enterprises will pay a reasonable bounty of information
for the general area beyond our outpost over there. I tried to make inquiries to our people there, but I received nothing from them either, and I don't like it. Finally, if you find my mother's body, I want you to ensure she returns to the Great Cycle in the traditions of Druidic custom. Though I would be willing to pay you for any of her keepsakes you decide to bring back with you. What I absolutely want most is a bone pendant, simple in design with a rune. Though this is a powerful artifact, it is a family heirloom of great sentimental value to me, tied to my bloodline, and I will be willing to trade well to receive it. The Johnsons sighed again. I understand. Though I cannot promise to find it, we will try our best should we accept the job. Allura nodded. Anything else? I have no more objectives to add. Travel I can arrange, but the closest point we can get you will still require you to travel on foot. I see. Allura smiled. Let me think. I'm game for it, Nika whispered. Same. This guy seems legit, Scifi added. Lots of bonuses mean more pay for us. We should still be cautious. Mr. Johnson is magically active, Chio told them all, but I think we should take the job. Allura canted her head towards Jack for a moment, seeking his approval. Honestly, this one didn't sound so bad. He gave a slight nod of his head in agreement. What are you offering? Allura asked Mr. Johnson. I offer 50,000 Corv coin, half in scrip. Johnson replied immediately. The bounty on area information will be reflective of what you're able to give us, and the treatment of my mother's remains will earn you another 5,000. The belongings you wish to trade can be negotiated upon your return, but the pendant will earn you 2 magical items of equal value. Allura frowned. We have a point of contention, Mr. Johnson. If scrip is being offered, then I believe 70,000 Corv coin will be more acceptable. 55,000, the Johnson retorted instantly, his face calculative and shrewd. 60,000, Allura retorted just as quickly, and an additional 5,000 worth of scrip in advance to gear ourselves up for the journey. Deal, Mr. Johnson nodded, and they shook on it. I'll send all the information to your profile address. As for now, our business is concluded. Goodbye. And with that, Mr. Johnson got up, supporting himself with his intricate-looking wooden staff, and made his way out, flanked by his bodyguards. Jack stared with wide eyes at the huge platters of food and drink that had been mostly untouched while they were talking. Soon, he felt a slight breeze over him as he sensed a cloaked Scifi next to him. Guys? The Scritter spoke aloud, and Jack could tell how excited she was. Get the bags!